There was tragic news of the Bibas family. They were murdered by Hamas earlier today. Now, they may have been murdered a long time ago, but all we know is that they are now dead, killed by Hamas. And Ben Shapiro actually pointed out something very interesting about their taking, about when they were kidnapped, about who they were kidnapped by, and why Palestinians are culpable in their murder. Check it out.
In other international news, horrifying news, Hamas has now announced, as was suspected, that it would release dead bodies, 4 dead bodies. In exchange for these 4 dead bodies, Israel is going to release all Palestinian women and minors under the age of 19 who were detained in Gaza after October 8th and who, quote unquote, weren't involved in the fighting. But again, those are detentions. When they say under 19, you're talking about 16, 17, 18-year-old people. And recognize that in the Gaza Strip, for Hamas, those are like military age recruits. Many women are also involved militarily with Hamas. The bodies that are being released include the bodies of Shiri Bibas, who's 33, and her 2 children, Ariel and Kfir, who were 4 years old and 9 months old when they were kidnapped, not by Hamas. Okay, this is important. They were not kidnapped by Hamas. They were kidnapped by Palestinian civilians who joined in on the murder spree of October 7th. The reason this is important is because the great lie that there is a vast gap between the civilian population in the Gaza Strip and Hamas, that has always been a lie. It remains a lie. That does not mean that Israel and any other military power shouldn't attempt to distinguish between members of Hamas and civilians. Israel has expended hundreds of its own soldiers in efforts to do precisely that, which is why it's achieved such a signally successful kill ratio in terms of terrorists killed to civilians killed in battle. With that said, the civilians in the Gaza Strip supported Hamas. They supported the agenda of Hamas for a year. The bodies of a mother, a toddler, and a baby were held as hostages in the Gaza Strip, and not one Palestinian turned over information to the Israelis. While these people were alive, they were taken alive into Gaza. They were coming out dead. While they were alive, there was no attempt by any Palestinian to achieve their liberty. There was no attempt to shield them from the predations. In fact, they were held by civilians, as we know. Many of the hostages were, in fact, held in civilian homes. Just so you remember who these people are, here is a video of the kidnapping of Shiri Bibas and her toddlers. Okay, this is what Hamas is. This is who the people who celebrate Hamas and have sided with Hamas are. Human trash. The people who do this kind of stuff and who support this kind of stuff. Here's the imagery from October 7th. There's a mother, a terrified mother, who is now dead, who's been murdered, carrying a toddler and a baby. She's being kidnapped by, again, these are people in civilian garb. These are not people in Hamas terrorist garb. Those children are dead. The mother is dead. Anybody who suggests that Israel's war in Gaza is not, in fact, justified is morally blind at best and complicit in evil, much more likely.
What Ben Shapiro points out here is absolutely shocking, that the civilian population basically took captive the Bibas family. And it wasn't Hamas. It wasn't, Palestinian Islamic Jihad. It was Palestinian so-called civilians that are going into Israeli homes on October 7th and taking these people. And who knows, maybe they were even killed by these Palestinian terrorists. Obviously, Hamas tries to paint the picture that they were killed by some airstrike, which is obviously very convenient for them. But, they were murdered in captivity after they were taken, because we know they were taken alive by these barbarians. Babies, literal babies, just unbelievable. And hopefully Israel will unleash hell on these monsters. For more, subscribe to the channel. If you want to help us make more of these videos, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JewishUncensored. Thank you, and have a good one.